there we are. There we are. We are live. The intro music kind of cut a little quick there. But hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Big D After Dark. I am one of your hosts, Nathan. Glad to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday evening. Hope it's treating you well. We have had a week of FC Dallas action and news to get to, so we're going to discuss it. And we want your hot takes. We want your cold takes. We want whatever it is that you've got that you want to put down as we talk about the match results this week, as we talk about tactics, as we talk about where FC Dallas is, as we talk about these players and a couple of transfers that were finalized as well. So thank you all for joining us. Please share, please subscribe, whatever you want to do. Go for it, okay? Of course, we are joined by our my good friends, my compatriots here. Ben Lyon there in the middle at Bird Turgler, and Jose Carmona at El Chico Carmona. Of course, you can follow me at Nathan J. Hill on Twitter. So thanks for joining us tonight. Chat with us in the live stream chat. If not, just enjoy some chatter and some chitter chatter about FC Dallas. Okay, hey, let's get right into it. Two matches this week for FC Dallas. We're going to hit them in chronological order here. Number one, FC Dallas went up to the frigid north and to Minnesota United FC, and unfortunately came away with a loss, 3-2. The difference maker was a penalty that Ryan Hollingshead drew near the end, but Minnesota United even went down to 10 men. And so FC Dallas pushed hard, had some chances, had some opportunities, but couldn't quite get that third goal. And so FC Dallas did not come away with a point. So let's just talk about it. Ben, we'll start with you. What was a negative or two from this game that you saw, and something positive that you also take away from it?
Seemed like putting Hollingshead in the middle of the back three was an overly cute move, and it obviously cost the first goal, and he owned that. So that's something. And I see the strategy behind doing it. Hollingshead could play as kind of a sweeper, but it did not work out on the night. What I thought was positive is how they fought their way back into the game, first at halftime and then toward the end, and then seeing not only a taste of the Ricarte show, but also a taste of the future with Dante Sealy, who's a very exciting young player.
Jose, same for you.
I thought he was going to say Reynolds.
Same question for you, Jose.
I think the obvious complaint from everybody is not that Lucci rolled out a 3-man backline. It was that he put Hollingshead in the middle, where when he's obviously would have been better served being on the left side of that 3-man formation, which of course eventually they corrected that and the team played much better later on in the match. But by that time the damage was done. By that time Hollingshead had basically made a huge error, and put the team in a position where they had to chase, and that's not something you want to do on the road. And so of course that was the big talk. Is Lucci overthinking some of these matches? Is he getting a little too cute with his formations and not putting his team in the best position? But listen to everybody. Hollingshead, I guess, had a great week of practice and had apparently earned that spot in practice, and then went out there and just didn't perform. But I think that's the big talk on there, is that. But also, Reynolds and Ricarte, being part of that second half push, especially Ricarte. I don't want to say Ricarte has been hyped, because Dallas has a long history of uh, busted transfers in the second half of the season. Long, long, long. And I know most fans have been downplaying, and I think I'm one of the few people who have been basically ringing the bell and said, hey, this is not your typical midseason addition. This is a guy who is not for what's going on around the country right now, around the world really. Dallas can't afford to sign this guy. So this is a guy who basically right time, right just he just kind of fell in FC Dallas' lap, and now he's here, and yeah, I think his uh, second half introduction, it was solid. It wasn't it was just enough to water our appetite a little and say, okay, this guy doesn't look like a bust. He looks like he'd be a solid addition, and I was satisfied with his debut against Minnesota.
Good stuff. The team missed Hedges. They just really missed Hedges, and we'll talk about Hedges even on the next match. But and I know how hard it is for a coach to try to figure out the best lineup and to maintain some good defensive shape and approach. And Kosi Burgess, was probably available, but would have probably struggled.
On that though, just to expand on what you're saying is, let's keep in mind of all the people that were not available
Right, no.
at all for this match. And you're talking Mar, you're talking Cannon, of course, who had been transferred, Hedges, Acosta, and Cobra wasn't available for that either, wasn't he?
Right.
So that's fit 5 would-be potential starters. I mean, I wouldn't say potential, but most of those guys are starters. And to not have them available for a road match, I mean, I think all things considered, I think the team overall did great.
Yeah, I think in the end, I agree with you all. Like the push, the adjustments that Coach Lucci made to the formation, and just the energy to push for that result, it's a good sign. So I didn't come away from that match feeling utterly defeated or feeling like the loss at home to Nashville was pretty like just disappointed. I came away rather actually feeling pretty good. The team found ways, and Lucci used his subs well for really maximum impact. It was a tough match, tough place to play against a team that's playing pretty decent, pretty solid team. We just couldn't, and even being down 10 men, we hoped that would have helped out. But hey, it's a young team. They got a lot to learn. So I hope that this is a chance for them to grow out of that. So yeah, I feel like in some ways the match against Minnesota United revealed that just FC Dallas can still be its own worst enemy. Just mistakes, playing it down to the back, bad fouls. It's just tough. And but I know I listened to Coach Lucci. He mentioned how every team is going to make mistakes. You just want to be the team that makes one less mistake than your opponent, and you take advantage of them. So yeah, disappointing result midweek, but then they turned right around and came back home, and to play the hated Houston Dynamo. And what a match we were treated to, with Ricarte getting his first start and going a good chunk of minutes, and just the team playing, starting to put some of those pieces together. So let's do the same thing. Some positives, a negative or two from the match. Ben, what do you think?
Well, Reynolds once again showed that he's not really missing a beat coming in and replacing Cannon. Some of the defensive teeth aren't there just yet, but as far as an attacking player who can make up for his defensive deficiencies with pure recovery speed, I mean, he's right there. And then of course Ricarte was magnificent on the game. Another thing that I liked, so Hollingshead had like a terrible game in Minnesota, and in the first half he didn't look great either, but he looked like he kind of woke up, looked like Barrios kind of woke up. So that was good. Another Another thing to watch though is the team got outpossessed and outshot again, which, honestly, they can't keep doing that. They did get good quality shots. 5 shots on target is not bad for the total volume that they had, but yeah, they've got to be more frequent. And I mean, honestly, now that Ricorte's in the fold, you might see them start to ramp that up a little bit, which will be great to see.
Jose, what about you?
Well, I mean, for me, it's Ricarte. This guy comes in, and like I said, I've been telling anyone who listens to me that all I hear from anyone who's ever seen this guy play is this guy has an amazing left foot. Not just an amazing left foot. People aren't just talking about him as he's a good left-footed. People are talking about this guy has the best left foot in all of South America, and you guys are getting him. And Dallas is getting a lot of hate from Colombian fans because they expected him to go to Europe. But at the same time, those same fans are also saying, wow, you guys have yourself a gem. This guy is everything. And that's all I've heard from anyone and everyone is watch his left foot. It's amazing. And then, boom, that shot is probably you're looking at your shot of the year with that left foot. By the way, when he first scored it, I thought he kicked it with his right. And on replay, and I noticed it was his left foot, and it was just a thing of beauty. I mean, you got a guy who everyone's raving about that left foot, and to see him actually deliver on that, And mind you, some of his passes were just, my God, you have to be salivating. And I will say something that a lot of players look good, and I'll tell you why they look good, because they have a guy that's a real quarterback out there who's really out there demanding the ball and making the right passes. And not just that, you can see him basically yelling at people and telling them where to go and where to move. And it's a thing of beauty. And this is a guy it's only a second game. I mean, he hasn't even really, he doesn't know everyone's tendencies just yet. So I was blown away. He was as advertised. I was, in my predictions, actually going to predict him to score, but I didn't want to jinx him. So I'm glad he scored. Also, of course, you got to be through the roof with Reynolds' play. I hear people saying, "Oh, he's better than Reggie." Let's not get carried away. I think his ceiling is higher. I will give him that. I think his ceiling is much higher because he's still young enough that once he gets his defense rounded out, I mean, I think offensively he's ahead of where Reggie was. So I think he can. Simply his physical gifts alone, he's got a higher ceiling, but he's not there yet. But he's certainly helping. I also want to do one shout out to a player that I don't think is getting a lot of credit right now. I haven't heard too many people giving enough credit. Really, is in the win against Houston, and also I remember back when they won 3-1 against Minnesota. When the team needed to shut things down and protect that lead, the guy that brought in off the bench was actually Brisson, who's looking like your closer now. Let's face it, he started when Matt got injured and Dallas didn't miss a beat. But really, his role seems to be like, hey, we got a lead, we need to shut it down. Okay, time to bring in Brisson and shut this game down. And he's looking like that
All
guy,
right, Jose.
that closer. And I don't think anyone noticed that because we haven't had too many leads. But that's something to look going forward is once Brisson enters the game, it means the team's shutting it down and they're going to basically, close out the win.
Jose, you are talking yourself into getting a Brisson jersey, aren't you? You are. By the end of this season.
I just hear other podcasts and I hear other people talking, and I don't think Brisson's getting. People are like talking about him like he's a DP. He's not a DP. He's a guy who's brought in to push and eventually replace one of the guys, and he's doing that. I think he's doing it. He's better this year than he was last year, and I think he's nailed down that closer spot. And I think I could see him if he's still here next year. I could see him actually pushing one of our starters, taking one of the jobs. I mean, I get it.
All
People
right.
say he's not the fastest and whatnot, but I don't care how fast a center back is. Does he make the right tackle? Does he make the right moves? And Brisson has been rock solid this year. And like I said, watch that going forward. When Dallas takes a lead, and I think with Ricarte
All right.
out there and Hara getting into the groove and Barrios coming back, and once we get Fafa, I think Dallas will have, at home anyway, at least to protect going forward. Watch for that. When Brisson comes off the bench, it means, all right, that's it. The game's getting shut down. And I think you should look for that.
We'll watch for that. I mean, that's some good stuff. I think he has been looking for a role. He's been sort of a sub. He's spot started. So yeah, I mean, I think if the team is going to climb back in the playoffs, which they're on their way after Saturday, they can. And like 8 teams are going to get into the playoff, right, from each side or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the team just has to, they don't have to be world beaters. Let's face it. Get healthy. Get in the playoffs, and then make some noise once you get in the playoffs.
Peak at the right time, and that's what MLS playoffs are always about. Peak at the right time. And like my only negative from the game against Houston was, just again a first half where the team didn't seem to come out with the right amount of energy, and they on the broadcast they've acknowledged it. Steve Davis, Mark Fellowell, asked Redo about that, and Redo acknowledged, we were sort of a little slow. We were playing a little slow, not quite cycling the ball through as quick as we could. And so that's concerning. But on the other hand, if this is who this team is a team that's going to come out a little bit, figure out where things are, take the chances that they get, but then really go for it in the second half, really push their opponent. I can live with that. I can really live with that as long as they can stay defensively, organized and not give up too much. I mean, the only to get that incredible goal from Ricarte, and I played the highlight there a minute ago for those who are watching. Just a magical kind of goal, and it's the kind of thing that like typically midfielder hits that and it just peters out of bounds or something. And so it's incredible. And Lucci acknowledged after the game, you can't teach that, you can't coach that. But then they come down and they give up a cheap foul right at the top of the box, and it gets slotted away by Memo Rodriguez. And so you're 1-1 at that point, and a little tough, but FC Dallas didn't really look like giving up the lead once they got the lead in the second half and really took control of the game. So I'm going to live with that, and I'm also going to give a shout out here to Tanner Tessman. I think the kid is legit. I think and Cervania able to come on and this team has some depth and some ability to really adjust, which I think is why they're a second half team. So some good stuff just to see the depth of this squad, and they're going to need that depth with 2 more games this week.
That's just it, though. I think they've lacked that leadership, though. I think they've lacked that guy pulling the strings that makes sure that the young guys are doing what they're supposed to do. And I think that's the one thing that's being understated. Ricarte is that guy. He's the guy who's going to come in, and the kids are going to see this guy, a real professional, and you want them learning from, you want Pepe and you want Ferreira learning from Hara out there. You want Tessman, you want Cervenia, you want them seeing Santos and Ricarte out there and watch and emulating what they're doing. We need those. You got Hedges and Rito, so your veterans are at the heart of the team, but they're surrounded by all this youth. And if you want to get the best out of youth, you want to have the right veterans pulling the strings. And I think you're starting to see Dallas with that now. They got a good, solid veteran core surrounded with all this young talent. And I think the sky's the limit for the team, really, once they get healthy and get everybody on the same page. And all the new moving parts is the reason I think they were a little slow. I mean, let's face it. Look at the starters out there. Reynolds is a new starter. Tasman's a new starter. Ricard is a new starter. Solbeck's a new starter.
It takes time. It takes adjustment.
Mascara's a new starter. So you had 5 new starters out there. And yeah.
So Ben, you feel like Barrios has turned a corner here? You think he's getting ready for a breakout match here pretty quick?
He looked sharper toward the end of last night, and it's a fine line with Barrios. He's still got wheels. He's still exceptionally tough, but his touch was off for the first few games of the reboot, and I mean it showed. I mean that's he's a crucial part of the team at this point. So yeah, I mean it's they will find space for him and he will cause problems. And yeah, I imagine it will be sometime here in the next couple of games where he balls out and puts up a goal and assist or 2 goals or 3 goals. He does something wild.
He's due, but and Reynolds and the way he's combining with Reynolds is a really exciting thing to see. Pretty terrifying if you're an opposing defense trying to deal with that. But let's move on, Jose. Let's
hold on. I want to add something about it.
Okay, go ahead. All right.
I think Barrios is a supporting actor, not a star. He's not the guy that you want to put the team on his shoulders. And I think having Hollingshead starting on left back and suddenly giving you those runs that you weren't getting from Nelson. Hollingshead a much better offensive presence than Nelson. Rightly so. He's not being targeted like Nelson was defensively. And then, of course, Ricardo down the middle and Reynolds making those runs and Ahara playing smart positioning. All of a sudden, Barrios you're not seeing Barrios get all the way downfield and be the only guy down there with like 4 or 5 defenders around him and nobody to pass the ball to, which is what we were seeing. We were seeing him basically break out, get surrounded by defense, and there's nobody anywhere near him, at least not in a reasonable space. Well, he doesn't have that problem anymore. You got Reynolds, can keep pace with him. You got Ricardo making the right passes, and you got Hollingshead making the runs on the left side. He has that support he wasn't getting earlier, and it makes a magnificent difference for him.
And we haven't even talked about Frank O'Hara, and like his goal was just a classic, confident finish. A guy who knows guys who know how to score goals. But yeah, you got to get him the ball. But he did some other decent work in the game, solid work holding up the, spraying out passes here and there, keeping the attack going. I mean, I like his positioning. I like his work rate. It's exciting to watch him in action too.
And a guy like Hara, I got to say, and people don't say this enough, is if you're a striker and you're not getting fed the ball, it has to be disheartening. But now he doesn't have to worry about that. Now he's seen the other guys making that effort to get him the ball, and now it gives you an incentive to work harder. Okay, maybe he's not the fastest guy, but he makes up for that with all his intelligence and slick moves and whatnot. And knowing that if you make that move, if you get that space, that ball will come your way. I think that's something that people don't realize is a striker's got to have that. He's got to know that he's not wasting his energy and his runs for nothing.
That's right. Well, look, let's move on. We got several other things to hit before we close out the show. Of course, finally it was official that Reggie was sold to Boa Vista, and some of the financial pieces came out about it. And not only that, Reggie in his first friendly preseason action, scored a goal. Quite a debut for the guy. We wish him the best. I think. And I think. The question is the deal as some of the information has come out about the deal, which is roughly about $2 million up front and then another 1.5 fee, or that could be used later to buy down a quarter of his.
So it's $2 million up front. Dallas retains 50%. And Boa Vista can pay $1.5 million to knock that down to 25%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either, it's a smart move that the people are saying, he didn't go to Germany. It should have been more. No, Dallas is gambling on that he will be resold at a much higher, and they'll recoup it off that percentage that they're retaining. It's a big gamble.
It's a gamble, but it's a good one. It's a smart one, and it makes Reggie happy. Makes things good.
It's an underrated gamble. I mean, the gamble is this. So Boa Vista is making a ton of moves. That's what people. If he goes to Boa Vista last year, it's a bad move because the team was defensive. They didn't have, they didn't really spend too much. But that's not this year's team. This year's team has fresh financing. You're talking about Cannon arrives after they've already added like 12 other bodies, and mind you, the fans were already excited about the 12 people they had signed. Then they go out and they break the bank by their standards on Reggie Cannon, who was a record signing for them. People were saying, wow, that what we're paying Cannon, that's what we normally spend in one offseason. But he's the 13th guy we've added. We were already excited about the team we had before he showed up. All right? And now, of course, word's coming around that they're about to sign Albert Ellis from Houston. That's pretty much a done deal. From everything I'm hearing is the club and him have agreed to terms, and they're just waiting for MLS to, red tape. Same thing we had with Reggie. They're just waiting for everything to get squared away. And he's going to break Reggie's record signing from everything I hear. It's going to be higher than what they paid for Reggie. So you're talking about a team who broke the bank for Reggie, and now they're going to break it again. So he's going to a great situation where he's not going to be the only talent. His game that he played where he made his debut, you got to understand that he's getting hyped as a modern fullback who's going to provide offense for this team, something they're not used to. They're normally a defensive team. Sixth best defensive team last year in the Liga NOS. A horrible attacking team, like only 28 goals on the entire season. And they're like, hey, we're getting this fullback that we're breaking the bank for, who's supposed to be this attacking guy. And he goes out there and introduces himself by scoring the first goal against another opponent. Their last preseason game, mind you, and they just rolled these guys. They crushed him 4-1. He wasn't the only guy making the debut. So basically, they got so much talent, and they're still adding. I'm not even sure that Ellis is the last signing they're going to add. So he's going to be surrounded by a ton of talent. This team's going to look really good. It's going to make him look good. And it's a great gamble.
Can you all tell that the Jose loves to talk about transfers and stuff? That's why
I love it. I'm excited about what's going on in Boa Vista.
Combing through Twitter, doing the hard work.
I'll take this further. You got to look at Reggie as an ambassador. He's the guy that Dallas is sending out there from their academy that they've sold to Portugal, and they're saying, hey, look at this. He's indicative of the kind of talent we've got. If you like him, we have more players like him. So you got to cheer Reggie on. You got to cheer for him to go out there, make a splash, and get people. You already got McKennie doing that. You already got, Richards doing that. So you want Reggie going out there and saying, yeah, here's another FC Dallas Academy product. Hey, this academy is for real. Go hit up FC Dallas for more talent because we certainly have a ton of homegrowns. And you want to see Reggie succeed because he opens the door for more academy products.
If Reynolds keeps playing like he's doing, there'll be rumors about him pretty soon. But let's shift. And Ben, I want you to jump in here too. Just the Cobra was out this past week dealing with personal family issues. The team, and then Lucci was quite open about it. It's kind of unusual for a coach to be so open, but he was clear that he wasn't sure if they were going to see Cobra again. He was dealing with the family issue, had to go back home, and then the announcement came out that Cobra Zdenek Andresic has been transferred to Victoria Plzeň, I suppose is how you say it, and back in the Czech Republic, so that he could get more, he can compete in the Euros with the national team, and also get more minutes at this point in his career. So. This is a surprise transfer. None of us really saw it. We maybe thought, with Hara coming in, that Cobra could be a potential transfer, but hadn't really heard a lot of rumors about it. So Ben, what's your take on this situation? And is this a win-win? Is this just it's a hard thing. He was a productive guy, but is it a win-win?
I don't know if it's a win-win or not. I mean, now you're down to like 3 forwards during a really, really busy stretch of the game. I mean, ultimately, like I'm glad that the club did right by the player. So I mean, I guess in that sense, it is a win-win. The pandemic really took the air out of his sails because he was playing great beforehand. It had just really been white hot over the course of the last 6 months, and of course, scoring that game winner against England, like in his national team debut, is just like
legend.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, I think for him it does make a lot of sense to go back to play in Europe, stay kind of connected to the national team by playing in his domestic league. And I mean, like, hopefully that pays off. I mean, like, if things had gone like normal, no pandemic, no European Championship cancellation, I think we would have seen him play for the Czech Republic's national team this summer, and that would have been so cool. But I mean, hopefully we'll get to enjoy that next year after he has a great season with Pilsen, and I mean, after he broke through against Montreal last year, it was a great run. So I mean, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. This was a surprise announcement, right, Jose? I mean, we weren't really, other than him being away,
It was, and I know that some people are looking at this in a negative, trying to paint this in a negative light, like either Dallas has done him wrong, obviously the Hara deal where he's losing playing time, and people are just thinking of all sorts of negative reasons. Look, there's multiple reasons why he's gone. We don't know them all. There could be 5, 6, 7 reasons, but we know that his girlfriend was having visa problems. Certainly, that's a big deal. But that's not the only deal. Losing playing time to Hara, that's a big deal. And then one thing I've been telling people is you got to remember this is a guy that was set to represent his country at the European Championships. And mind you, MLS sent out a message saying, hey, we're not releasing anybody for national team duty because of the travel restrictions and whatnot. So, I mean, you're telling Cobra, hey, it doesn't matter if you beat out Hara. It doesn't matter because we're not going to let you go represent your country. Mind you, this is a lifelong dream of Cobra. Mm-hmm. A lifelong dream. You're talking about a guy who didn't think he had a prayer to represent his country. Next thing you know, he earned himself a spot as a super sub, and he was looking forward to represent his country in the European Champions. And MLS is saying, hey, sorry, we're not going to let anybody go. I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm saying there's multiple reasons. The Hara situation, the national team situation, his girlfriend, travel restrictions. There's many reasons where this is a smart move for Cobra. And this is a good move for him. And the team's doing right by him in the end. And like I said, it doesn't matter. He beats out Hara. He still can't.
Right.
He still can't represent his country. And I'm sorry.
Tough.
Some people need to understand that some people dream of representing their country, and you just can't take those dreams from them. On top of that, you still have the other problems on top of that. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have one reason or two reasons. He had multiple reasons, and Dallas is doing right. I mean, Cobra's probably taking a pay cut to go play in the Czech Republic. In all honesty, because I heard that team couldn't really afford him, and I guarantee you, if Dallas got half of what he's worth, it's a good deal on Dallas' side. So Dallas is probably taking a hit also on Cobra. And the winners are Pepe and of course Jesus. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, they need more playing time. And Cobra, as much as we love him, he's a veteran player who's taken away their playing time. So love the guy. I'll cheer him on in Czechoslovakia. I cheer him on for his national team. Yeah. I'll start watching some Euro Championships because of him. But at the same time, it also helps a team that wants to play young players.
It does. I appreciate it too that this team did right by its players. It's easy as a fan to just think this team should get the best players, keep them here as long as they can, and win a bunch of games. But it's a lot more complicated than that. Every video you see from Cobra, he was just a great guy. He was a source of energy for the team. He connected with people. He was silly. He had a good sense of humor. And so yeah, it's tough to see this situation because he'd become sort of a little mini legend in his own time. But hey, this is what happens. Life happens. Well, let's jump to our new segment. Let's jump to our new segment called Hype or Hold. I may change the name if I come up with something better. But basically, are you on? Are you ready to hype the player? Are you all on board, or are you wanting to hold off a little bit more and see a little bit more before you go full all in on this player? So we're gonna hit 3 players here real quick. And I'm going to switch it up here just a bit. So, of course, we're going to start with the easy one. Let's just get warmed up here. Ricarte. We've already been talking about him a lot. So the question is, are you believing in the hype at this point? Are you ready to hype him up? Or do you still want to hold off and see how he adjusts a little bit more? Where are you at right now? Ben, where are you at? You want to hype him or you want to hold off a little bit?
Well, yeah, duh. I mean, MLS Best 11, here we come.
All right, good. I like it. Jose?
I'm all aboard the hype train with Ricarte, and I'll take it a step further. I think once the team gets healthy and they get the playoff, there's not a team that's going to want to face off with Dallas with a guy like Ricarte pulling the strings. And with that leg and his passing, Dallas, if he gets I don't think we've seen everything he can do. I think once he gets going and the team gets going behind him, Dallas is going to be a scary, scary team come playoff time. So if they can get into the playoffs and everybody gets healthy, nobody's going to want to see FC Dallas on that. I'm not saying they're going to win the MLS Cup. I'm just saying they'll be one team that nobody wants to be facing in the playoffs.
All right. I'm tempted. I'm tempted to be a little more cautious because it's a weird season. MLS is weird, but I'm on board. I'm on board too. It's fun to see this guy play. It's fun to finally see somebody who just so naturally pops up in these spots and keeps the action moving forward. I mean, we haven't had that since Morrow, and we miss Morrow. We talk about Morrow from time to time. All right, next person up. Now I'm gonna swing for the fences on this one. All right, Kyle Zobek. I know Kyle Zobek looked a lot. I wouldn't say he was great against Minnesota, but every game he's gotten a little more comfortable, a little more confident, a little more vocal, organizing the defense. Does he have some upside? Are we ready to get on board saying that this guy, is worth that he could win the job keep Maurer out when he gets healthy, or we want to continue to wait and see? Maybe it's a little too easy. I don't know, Ben.
No.
Not even. Okay. No.
Hey, that save where he got big early in the first half. That was nice.
Amazing save. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good professional save. So I mean, that's great, and he got his first win. So congratulations to Kyle Zobek.
All right, Jose.
So of course, it's hold for me. I'll tell you right now that seeing Zobek, the way I see him, he's the ultimate professional. He's a guy who's been in the league. I mean, who's basically sat there and done everything he's had to stay on the roster and do everything he has to. And he's just an all-out professional. He goes out there and does what the team needs. But he's not going to make those amazing saves. He's going to rely on people around him. He's going to get the job done as best as he can. But at the end, we have better options. It's to hold on him. I'll keep cheering for him as long as he starts, and I think he can get the job done. But he's not going to win us the games. He's not going to keep those shutouts coming. I think it's hold on him. I can't wait for Maurer to come back, and I can't wait to see what the Brazilian kid can do either. So,
yeah, I want to be on the Zobek train too. I mean, I hope this week. I don't know when Maurer's getting back. Don't know if the Brazilian is going to be ready to jump right in, and so I have a gut feeling we're going to see some really some good action from
Felipe. By the way,
Felipe. Yeah, good. Thank you. We shouldn't just, but. I think we're going to see some good games from him this week. But I'm with you. Ultimately, I think when Mara gets healthy, if Felipe is reveals the kind of the talent that he seems to have had in the past. Yeah.
He'll be available against Colorado, by the way. So we'll find out
Okay,
really
so
fast.
we'll find out pretty quick if he's ready to jump in, and we'll also learn a lot about what Coach Lucci thinks about Zobek. So, but nonetheless, kudos to you, Zobek. Yeah, you had some good games. You showed improvement. It was like seeing a different player from the start of the Minnesota game, even to kind of the end of the Houston match. He just got more comfortable, more confident in goals. That's a good thing to see. But all right, I'll stick with that. All right, and finally, Brian Reynolds. Now this one's a little tricky because the kids looked amazing, but we also know in this league, and Reggie even went through that a bit, that there's these ups and downs as a player adjusts, and especially defensively, I think Brian has room to grow. So, I'm just just where you thinking right now? You want to hold off and see a little bit more from him, see him grow a little bit, or are you ready to be all aboard on the hype train, Ben, for Brian Reynolds?
I mean, I've been on the hype train since he won the U16 championship on Jesus Ferreira's team back in 2016. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I still don't know whether he ends up being, a full-time outside back, or if he ends up, adding a little bit more to his offensive game and being more valuable as an out-and-out winger. That's still hard to say, but I have confidence that he will end up being king shit either way.
Jose?
I'm all aboard. I'm on the. I think he'll have his ups and downs, but the talent is there, and I'm willing to go through those downs because I think in the end, I think he's at that point where, come next year, he'll be like Reggie. He'll be that every match starter, invaluable starter. So I see him on the same trajectory as Cannon, but with a bigger upside. So I'm all in on him. I want to see what the kid can do.
All right, good. Well, I am optimistically. Gosh, I'm on board, but I'm also wanting to see a little bit more. So I'm gonna live in that non-binary reality of just. I do think like this week's gonna be interesting to see, because my gut is that Lucci is gonna rotate, and that Hollingshead will probably get another turn at right back here and there, and per game states and things like that. But so far, I mean, the kid's been so much fun, just so much fun to watch. So I'm just gonna live in that the duality. So all right, there we go. That's our inaugural hyper hold. It looks like we may or may not do that ever again. Oh yeah.
One more thing to add. I want to go back on Ricarte and add that besides his offensive skills, this guy came in. People were saying that he's not just an attacker; that his defensive chops are actually pretty good. And I was looking at the stats on him, and he had like 9 or 10 recoveries in that match that he started. And I mean, when's the last time you could say that about a guy like Mauro or Pablo or anyone we started at 10? When was the last time you could say, hey, yeah, your number 10 went out there? Well, by the way, he had like 9 or 10 defensive recoveries, and I want to just point that out, that Ricarte doesn't just come with an offensive reputation. He comes as a guy who's going to get down and dirty on defense, and is going to be involved in defense and not be a liability like, say, a player like Jesus, who, by the way, he works better when he doesn't have to worry about being involved on defense.
Good piece there. All right, well, let's just real quick look at our next opponents, do a little prediction, and then we'll call it a night. We're grateful for everybody watching here. So it's another busy week. A match on Wednesday, Colorado Rapids. This game was rescheduled, and so they're coming back into town, home, and home cooking is good cooking. And then the FC Dallas returns to play at Kansas City on Saturday. So, what are we looking forward to this week? Colorado seems like this should be a solid win for FC Dallas. No questions asked, right?
I mean, they won 5-0 the other night, so maybe not.
Mm.
That was in Salt Lake, by the way, or Sandy.
Yep, it was.
Mm.
I say if the team plays like they played against Houston in the second half against Minnesota, and because it's in Dallas, I think I would be disappointed if Dallas doesn't walk out of there with 3 points against Colorado. I'm looking forward to that match, and they're good enough to stop Houston's undefeated run in Frisco, and I think they're good enough to stop Colorado also.
All right. It'll be another return of Kellen Acosta to Frisco, and I mean the return trip to Kansas City. We were talking before the show. FC Dallas has figured out some ways to play well and get results there, just as they did not too long ago. So, I'm hopeful for another really competitive match. And I think just with this congestion of games, the question becomes which team is going to have the depth and the legs sort of to grit out results, right? To find ways to make something happen.
And I think with a team like Dallas, who has so much youth and is looking to give them playing time, honestly, maybe we're not quite as deep as we think we are, but it's going to be nice to see all these kids get playing time. It's only going to help the team.
All right, real quick, just do match predictions. Ben, what do you think this week? Colorado and Kansas City.
2 wins.
Ooh.
I think so too.
Book it.
I think I'll say 3-1 against Colorado. And in all honesty, I was looking up the Salt Lake. I know that Colorado. I know there was a red card in that, but by the time the red card rolled in, they were already down 4 goals. So they didn't lose because of the red card. And I think we saw that Dallas, when the last time they played Sporting Kansas City, if the offense had there was 3 points to be had there, and I think by the time we roll in there with Ricarte, he'll be a little bit more comfortable, and the offense will be humming. So I want 6 points out of this.
That's good. I'll go with 4 points. I think another draw in Kansas City would be really nice. Would just be fine. But you got to win at home. So we'll see with that. Although, just to go on record here, beating Pete Vermes, there's nothing more delicious. There's nothing more. Gosh. Yeah. I happened to see a clip. I forgot who shared it from the MLS's back tournament where they had mic'd up Vermes, and he was just going on complaining and whining. Man, the guy, fucking dude. Go see a therapist, man. All right. Anyway, he's a competitor. Well, we're gonna call it there. So so thanks everybody for joining us. Ben, you look healthy. Jose, you look good. Yeah, and Cobra there in the background. We're gonna miss you. We're gonna miss you quite a competitor. Yeah.
Our social media team's gonna miss him.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an amazing guy. And so hey, we're looking forward to 2 games this week. It's everything an FC Dallas fan wants. So let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it as best we can. All right. Well, all right, everyone, be safe out there. Wash your hands. Social distance, wear a mask, do all the things you need to do because we got more soccer to come. All right? Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Ciao.
Ciao.